Hello and welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. My name is Bo Schwartz, and I am introducing the show that's all about three dudes, unlimited opinions, and the place where conversation is the foundation for higher thought, or so we like to say. Not necessarily true. We'll let you decide. Joining me are my intrepid co-adventurers on this Good, Bad, or Bullshit spaceship. We've got Chief Engineer Hodgins. Hello.
Sweet Chief Engineer.
And
That's good.
We've got Ensign Steers also.
No, he should be the guy that runs the cantina.
What rank is a cantina guy? Guinan?
Guinan on. He can be Whoopi Goldberg.
And also joining us is White Whoopi Goldberg.
Can I go on the away mission, sir?
No, you have to run the cantina.
Okay. Tell me about your inner thoughts as
She's
you
an old lady.
encounter alien life forms.
Man, your Whoopi Goldberg is like super nailing it.
Yeah,
It's really doing it for me. Really good.
I don't remember Whoopi Goldberg being in The Next Generation.
What?
She runs 10 forward, like the bar.
10 forward in the later episodes.
Yeah.
Wait, so she was a late addition to the cast?
Yeah.
She's like a special guest star, but a recurring one that was often on the show.
It feels so weird. It's
And
like if
she
you
was
told
in-
me Gilbert Godfrey was like, you know,
She was the same. She was the same race of people as what's that actor's name from Generations?
Jean-Luc, tell me about your problems.
What's that? I mean, from A Clockwork Orange. What's his name?
Malcolm McDowell?
Yeah,
Or
Malcolm McDowell and her were both species of the same race. They just look like humans, but they live
I mean,
a long
humans
time.
look like.
No, they're not human. She wasn't human. She was.
Yeah, I know that, but I like in Next
I mean,
Generation.
in the fictional world, they were the same people.
How did I get into this Star Trek shit already?
Man, I went on Core last week. We went 30 minutes on talking about how great Worf is.
Worf? Yeah,
Yeah, because John was just like, honest question, if you didn't see Deep Space Nine, like, Worf sucks. And I'm like, what? No way. He's like the best. He's too OP, so they always hamstring him all the episodes. Anyways, we went down a rabbit hole. It was good.
In Next Generation, they didn't let him.
Yeah, like if you didn't see Deep Space Nine, because he gets to be an awesome warrior in Deep Space Nine in the movies. If you just watch TNG, Worf's always like,
awesome.
Worf's like, oops, oh no, and he gets hurt. He breaks his back like for plot reasons, so that the
What are you talking about?
No,
Don't
I
you
remember
remember the
this
episode?
dude.
He's comic relief a lot.
He goes and murders Duras in his ship against the captain's orders. He's awesome. Or when
We should have had you on the show
Picard-
to defend Worf. I
Jean-Luc
did my
Picard
best.
sends Worf and Data on a special mission inside the Borg cube. Actually, no, it was to get Picard out of there. Man, my TNG nerddom is coming out big time here.
Oh, man. Well, now that we've
Anyways,
lost
Worf
a
is
bunch
the
of
man.
listeners.
No, people love
It
Star
makes me
Trek:
wanna
The
watch-
Next Generation. Right?
It makes
Right,
me want to watch
listeners?
Deep Space Nine though, because I didn't realize Worf got so much more badass. I mean, he already pretty much was.
Yeah, they have him playing baseball, and he's just like, "What's this dumb sport?" But then by the end,
He
he's
get
all
like
like,
a
"Let's
triple
kill them all." And it's like, "It's baseball, Worf. Chill out."
I enjoyed the episode of TNG where Worf was. Remember when they were like in the holodeck and they were like merry men of Robin Hood and Worf.
Oh,
had, like,
even
a
I
loop.
saw that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, that's what it is. While they're playing baseball, he shouts out "Death to the opposition" as far as like baseball.
I would point out that like Michael Dorn, the actor who plays Worf, and the actor who played Scott, what's his name, the Irish dude, O'Brien, was that his name?
Yeah.
And how they both went over to Deep Space Nine. I totally feel that was like, I appreciate when an actor does that. When an actor is sort of sitting around and being like, shit, I don't got much more than my character that everybody knows me for, so how can I play that character some more, you know, like
Well, that came up too. Like he's been pitching Captain Worf for a decade now.
Really?
And CBS
Oh,
has been
has
sitting
he?
on. Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
man.
He's been trying to get a show made where he's a captain of a ship, and I'm like, do it already! Like, why?
for
What
God's
the
sake.
hell is wrong with you people? Like,
Michael Dorn has just hitched his wagon to Worf full hole. One thing I'll give Jonathan Frakes, I can't believe I'm going down this rabbit hole. One thing I'll give Jonathan Frakes is he hitched his carriage to the entire Star Trek franchise. He's like, I'm gonna direct. I'm gonna start making episodes. And now he's like all he directs is Star Trek though. He doesn't direct crap else. He just does Star Trek. And so like even though Riker's not in hardly anything, he still could do everything because he's behind the camera now, you know? Like, what a clever bastard.
Yeah,
Well-
Frakes won't even direct Worf. What a...
Yeah, I'm like, I just ignored most of what Crofton said because I'm like, Captain Worf. I'm like, what?
Captain sounds amazing. It's like the best thing. I mean, they shouldn't call it Captain Worf. They call it, USS whatever, but he's the captain. Like
The USFs.
no, they're like, nah, let's get Scott Bakula and do some weird shit. It's like
Scott Bakula. I mean, I will say, I don't feel like Worf would make the best captain, whereas Jean-Luc Picard was like, patience, humility. He'd be like, fire!
But they could do a twist. Older Klingon with his human upbringing could become, he'd be definitely more warlike, but
it should just he should just rejoin the Klingon Empire and go on the
I'm
ship
so
is
sorry,
war in the
everybody.
Klingon Empire, and it's just that. It's him. It's like
that would be good too. It's the problem with Klingon ships is they're so they're so not Star Trek, right? It's just like they fight. They're like, you didn't steer the ship right. They're like, what? I'll kill you. And it's just like, it's fighting. It's
how
like
that species ever technology is like crazy.
it's so stupid. Every episode would just be like, I thought you detected it on the radar, but you didn't say anything. Are you questioning my ability to do my job?
Yes.
Yes.
I took the death right on.
They just start fighting.
It'd be funny if the secret survival technique to Klingons was that they all had 150 children. You just didn't know it because so many of them were murdered all the time.
If you haven't seen Deep Space Nine, there is an episode where they loan Worf to the Klingon Empire, and he becomes first officer to a captain. And it's literally what we're describing. It's like Worf's.
Isn't that a TNG episode?
No, it's a Deep Space Nine one because of the fight with the Cardassians.
There
and all
also is a TNG episode where Riker is a first officer in an exchange program.
Yes.
And he also had to fight everyone because.
But it's better with Worf. Oh, it was better with Worf because his son Alexander, who's a wuss. The story is he actually joins the Klingon Empire to prove to his father he can be a real Klingon man. So,
but he can't, right?
And Worf's got to hold back and let him take his punches when Alexander's on the radar. And the other guy's like, "Did you not see that on the radar?" And he's like, "Are you questioning my ability to test the radar?" And they're like, "Yes," and they fight. I think that might actually be in the episode. Something.
You're gonna send me a link to some of these.
We haven't started recording, have we?
We have. This is the show, folks.
I did. Oh my god!
Because we're doing things a little differently. I actually have no idea how long this preamble is, so we apologize if it's been long. But
all right.
I also apologize for the content.
Are you questioning my intro?
You must die.
All right. So do we just move to random topics since we didn't have any time to catch it? It's been a while, folks. Hope you enjoy the episode. Let's go. All right, pull it.
Okay.
All right, starting to smooth and wait for the ding.
God.
There it is. What's today's topic, sir?
Today's topic is live streaming.
Oh my god,
we're
that's
literally
so
doing
meta
that right now.
Oh my god,
it's a meta episode. Have we done podcasts?
Yeah, we did.
I think we did,
but we mixed it with talk radio, which kind of
okay, but it's in our meta suite of things. We debate a thing we're actually doing while we're doing it.
I will say when we had one of our landmark episodes where I get all the awards, we talked about which topics we would want to take back, and that was one I wanted to take back because I think I had said I had leaned too far to the right wing talk radio to dilute my verdict on podcast talk radio, and I said either it was bad or bullshit or whatever, and I would go back on that and see it was good.
All right.
Maybe live streaming is an opportunity for me to make amends.
Yeah, you said podcasts were bullshit, Crofton.
Yeah.
Now he does two of them.
Oh, and I said they were good.
You're like, this thing I'm doing, I'm just doing it for the lulz.
/ talk radio.
Yeah, well, this is talk radio. It's just not good enough to be on the actual radio.
I think it actually is. I mean, I've heard some talk radio. We would.
So live streaming is just filming something and putting it up live over the internet. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's streaming video over the internet, but it's live, so it's not YouTube pre-recorded video. It's you can
Like, they
type
did
something in
live
the chat, and then you can react. The person will react and said, "You typed this in chat," and then respond right back. That kind of thing. Interactive and live.
And it, like, as opposed to in the olden days, there was live stuff. It was live TV or live, like, you could watch live sporting events. But Joe Blow in his basement couldn't,
He couldn't plug his Betamax video camera and broadcast it to the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen. It's kind of crazy to think about it. And I think the big, like, even before that, like, even before live streaming, there was YouTube was the gateway into that. I would imagine, like, because people would record themselves, put themselves up on YouTube, but they couldn't do it live. That was the thing. They would, like, and they still do it. People put up videos of themselves talking about anything, product reviewing, ranting, vlogs, whatever. They put them up on YouTube, but they're not live. They're not.
They'd be recordings and, like, personal projects that people got into and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So now,
however, streaming has been around longer than we think, because with the rise of a platform like Twitch, which is the world's most popular streaming destination on the internet, which we are currently streaming on ourselves.
How long ago was that? Do you know?
Well, so it's been around for a long time because it started as Justin.tv, and there was a few other stream services.
Oh shit! I think I might remember that. Like, that's old internet.
Yeah, so streaming's always been around. As soon as video was available, you'd often go to sites and they'd have a stream of, like, they'd be like a city camera posed up on an intersection, just as, like, a curiosity of the internet. Like, watch live stream of this big intersection, and it would only be like one frame every 10 seconds or something like that, but it would update.
Yeah, they still do that on the top of ski hills and stuff. Like, you could check the weather from the summit, or, like, my brother was doing, like, a ski competition, and I could go log in, and it's still like 10 seconds of, like, I'm like, oh wow, it's like I'm there.
Yeah, but the first major services, I did Google this. I know we're a little bit anti looking things up, but we have those webcams. Like, webcamming has been a thing as long as there's been video able to be broadcast, which is even in the 90s. I think we could do that. But the first site that offered people sort of a suite of streams, we call them streams, to choose from, was Ustream and Justin TV, I think around 2006. And that was not gaming focused. That was just put a fishbowl up and have people watch your fishbowl. You might be there painting. The painting streams were around. They wouldn't have tons of viewers, but people would live stream their things. And it's been a culture, a subculture for a long time. Now, with what happened with Justin.tv is that there was an explosion of gaming streaming. And as anyone knows, gaming is often a social experience. One person might play, and while the other person takes their turn, they sit on the couch and watch, or whatever. It turns out it's been a very popular use of the internet, and so that turned into an explosive growth for that, and now it's mainstream and not a subculture. And that's given room for people to grow, to do art streams and get more viewers, to do things other than gaming on the Twitch service itself. That's streaming.
I mean, it's still a bit of a subculture.
I think what you'll find is that it's a mainstream culture for young people, and that when the people in their 20s and teens right now are in their 40s, that'll just like how D&D and board games are, like, getting real mainstream. I
agree with Bo on that. It is pretty mainstream for kids. Like,
Instagram Live is a huge deal. You get to see your favorite SoundCloud rappers.
The PlayStation 4 now has a built-in button that you hit, and you can start streaming.
Right, but I mean, yeah. So it's live stream of a certain demographic. Like, I would say
popular. It's mainstream with a certain demographic, but there are people of all ages streaming and watching streams. But there's less probably of our age group for sure.
Yeah, and yeah.
People I talked to at work, none of them were like, I was watching Twitch and I saw, like, those conversations don't happen because they don't watch streams.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm the only one, but that's in our age group. Yeah.
Right. No, I would. That's the difference I'd make too. Is that, yeah, you could argue it's niche and stuff like that for us, or it's a subculture, but, like, for kids and teens and people in high school or whatever, I think streaming is pretty ubiquitous.
I mean, it's funny because I have to plead complete ignorance from that, and And I like, so how many people in high school do you guys actually know? Like, I mean, I know that you would know people maybe online, but I mean, clearly that would be the demographic specific to an age group that is into streaming. Because I mean, the only people I know that are in high school are like neighbor kids, and the ones that I know, I'm like, I don't know for certainty aren't into streaming, but I would be surprised if they were.
I've been like I live near a high school, so like sometimes I'm walking down. I when I was walking.
Harvard, what are you doing at the high school?
When I was walking to drop Claire off at daycare the other day, I was behind these three guys on the sidewalk, and they were talking about Fortnite and stuff like that. And one of them was talking about Ninja, who is probably the most popular streamer in the world right now. And yeah, so like I'm pretty confident that it's with the rise of stuff like Fortnite in particular that it's pretty ubiquitous. I will say though that as I've lamented before, like as the first generation that grew up with video games, every generation has a generation gap, right? Like, so you're generally with music, that was the big thing, you know, like your parents' music was like, you didn't understand it. They didn't understand whatever your music is. When we're listening to like Nirvana, your parents are like, what the hell is this noise? You know? And then previous to that, when they're listening to rock and roll or Simon and Garfunkel, or in Almost Famous, there's a scene where the kid's listening to Simon and Garfunkel and his mom's freaking out. There's always like a
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, I know.
Does that really set someone off? I mean,
yeah.
I find that even a bit hard to believe.
It does. I know it's hilarious. It's just like generational gaps, right? And but video games are interesting because they only became prominent with the Nintendo, sort of the first Nintendo generation in the mid 80s and onward. So we're the first generation with it. So I was really wondering, as still a gamer, as an adult, what was going to be the point where I was going to say, shit, I don't understand what the kids today are doing anymore.
Well,
like where the first video game gap. And for me, I've said it before. I've said it to Bo. I said it on other podcasts. For me, streaming is that thing.
So I guess here's some numbers for you to put it into context about the size. Because it's an internet thing, people track aggregate data like they do with Steam and stuff like that. So it's not like TV stations that keep their shit private. In 2017, Twitch had 15 million unique daily visitors. Daily.
But that could be the same people every day.
Sure. So the
also,
minimum,
I mean, it's likely that
50 million is not a small subculture. 15 million is large.
That's
in
small.
20.
Did you just
in 2019? In 2019,
did you say 15 or 50?
15 million.
15 or 50?
15.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
tiny.
Yeah, it's not that big.
That's not tiny.
Tiny.
15 million of anything is not tiny.
No, there's one city in China is 15 million people. Like there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. Like, you know, realize how much bigger that is than 10 million.
Okay,
15
but
million.
that's assuming that the 15-minute unique daily visitors are the same people, which is
Well, you
probably
think
not.
you think
That's conservative.
every day someone decided to watch streaming.
You're the only person I know that hear that and be like, "That's nothing." That's fucking ridiculous, dude.
Because I have a broad view of what the world is. There's a lot of people in the world.
You
And
have
it's
a
like
broad
15
view. You just said you don't know what Twitch is, and it's like the most mainstream thing.
No. I mean, I understand the context of numbers and how big. Like, I mean, look, 15 million is a fair amount of people, and we come from a small country population-wise. So yes, I give it to you. That's like half the people in Canada watching streaming every day. But the world is giant. Like, there's a lot of people.
Television shows television stations would kill to have those kinds of numbers. They don't even have for that industry and for what that is. It is huge. You're not supposed to, don't think about it in terms of world population. Think about it in terms of
I think what Mike's point was that it's niche and that it's not mainstream.
I thought you were going to say like 500 million or something like that.
Yeah, and like I would argue that his point is made when it's only 15 million.
Okay.
Right?
Well, like in a recent episode where I because I had heard this and I made the comment where people talk the Super Bowl and 400 million people watching the Super Bowl, and I heard this thing where it's like any run of the mill soccer game, Premier League in Europe has 400 million viewers worldwide. Any game. So it's kind of like, and again, that's a perspective too. So like live streaming, yeah, it's a thing that's growing. There's no question, but it's not like it's, where I'd say like watching soccer, like that's mainstream, where it's like any game in Premier League has 400 million
Sure,
viewers.
it's a new cultural phenomenon. I would just argue that this is mainstream, but not.
Well, see, I would say that
if you're saying like anything for something to be mainstream, for it to have like a 500-year history and have like record-shattering numbers, well, that is kind of the thing you're putting up as saying like, well, it's not those things, so I don't call it mainstream.
I think that when we look broadly at things, we get stuck in our bubbles, like, and
that's not what this is. This is not a small cluster of people. It's not the 10 people in your city. It's not the 10 people in your city that are into D&D that meet at the local room that they rented somewhere to practice their hobby. 15 million people is a big, large culture and not a subculture.
Well,
I'm not saying it's the biggest culture, but I'm saying this fits into 15 million of anything. People involved in anything is not a subculture,
and I think that segs well into it in the sense that, like, technically, it would be a subculture if it was limited to everybody's individual area, or a very small, like you're 10 people playing D&D in a basement. But if you can somehow hook up those 10 people playing D&D in a basement in every town, right? Well, then suddenly you have this larger community, and that's one thing that. And Mike, I don't think you beat the point over and over about like.
Well, I just want to have some context, because I mean it's like 15 million is 0.002% of the world population.
No, that's great.
Mean, you could find all kinds of things that you would consider wacky that 15 million people do every day in the world that you'd be like, what? Because it's not part of your niche. Like I'm giving to you that it's.
No,
this is for sure
I think we
get way
that.
Bigger.
We get that. We get that, but Bo's point, which I think is also true, is that 15 million of anybody doing anything may elevate it above what you would call a subculture, right? Like,
I don't think that.
I don't know. I fall somewhere in between both of you, but I don't see why begrudge and beat on the point here. So for me, what I think about. When I think about streaming, and like what I was trying to say earlier about the generation gap, was that like, if you think of for me, and I'm not saying that I don't appreciate it or appreciate that other people enjoy it, but what I don't understand personally for me is that there's two types of things. There's doing things and watching things. I partake in both of those. I like to play video games. I like to do sports. I like to do different things. I like to watch stuff. And the traditional stuff would be like TVs and movies, right? So then live streaming falls somewhere, like especially gaming live streaming falls somewhere in the middle of that. So when it was gaming focused, I really didn't get it that much, because it was watching other people play video games. And Bo sort of explained early on how like, it's for a long time been a social experience, in that, like, you sit on your couch and there's people watching and the other playing. And I agree with that. My brother and I had a really social experience, in the sense that I played a game and he watched it, and I like that. But if I had to watch him playing the game all the time the way that he watched me, I'd be like, F this, because I like playing. I don't like being the one waiting for my turn to play. So because of that, watching these streams of people playing games really held no appeal to me. Now, live streaming has expanded, and now you see all sorts of, like, be it live streaming of events, be it live streaming of people offering hot takes on things as soon as they happen. And I realize that my patience is reduced now. So, like, if a big event happens, like for example, it's WrestleMania weekend. Right after WrestleMania, I could go on and see people, like, or journalists or celebrities or whatever, offering their hot takes or responses right after. It sort of makes things much more immediate, and I appreciate that angle of it. But really, the watching people play games and stuff, I never really got that, because if I was going to watch someone, why wouldn't I just watch a movie or a TV show as opposed to watching, a game?
Well, I mean, it's like I still watch TV shows and movies and stuff, but I like to make time for streaming because it's a different kind of content. Like it's I mean, it's difficult to explain. If you watch a live stream and you're just not into it, like I don't, you're just not into it. Like even that example, if you don't like watching your brother, it sounds like you're more of a broadcaster type person, and less of a streamer type person. Like we need those people too, and I know I fall in that camp, but there are people who like to watch. And I don't know, sometimes when I'm playing a video game that is solo, like a good example is like when I play a lot of Hearthstone, there's a lot of downtime. And it's kind of cool to kick on a stream of someone else playing Hearthstone who's good, and when there's downtime to like just glance over and see what they're doing, and then when they get into an interesting situation, you're kind of like, oh, are they going to win? Do they see that move that they're going to do? And then you're just kind of tempted to go in the chat and be like, hey, if you do this, you might win. Like, you get kind of involved in the play of the game. Like, imagine when you watch hockey and you're like, just pass the puck. But it's just people yelling. But, like, on stream, especially if the streamer's small enough and only has a couple hundred viewers or something, like, you can chat with them and you might actually give them some help. And it's kind of there is a social aspect to it that you won't get from that television experience, which is completely passive as a viewer. And I think that's part of the unique alchemy to what makes streaming like a fun thing to watch.
But I will say straight up that you are right about me. Like, I definitely think I'm much more of a broadcaster than a viewer, because I do appreciate, like, right now we're broadcasting on Twitch. And there's people chatting and they're reacting to stuff that we're saying now, and the ability to have those immediate sort of like feedback, conversation, engagement. No, that I can appreciate for sure.
Yeah, like you out of the three of us, you would make the best streamer. Because let me tell you, and don't take this the wrong way, but when you start talking, you don't quit. You can go for hours. You're the you're the long night lover of the conversation or whatever. The guy that goes all night and can come like 5 times and still ready to keep rocking when it comes to talking. Like
to be fair, Mike did talk to a wall for like a half hour one time.
But he's right. The only problem is that Crofton's gameplay would probably suffer because he would digress to talk about the background of the game. And,
you know what? Some of the most popular people are really good gamers, but some of those popular ones fucking suck at games. But they're entertaining. So like. You can't just look at it to be like it's only a place for young people or people that are good at games. That's one type of streamer that you might be interested in, but there are definitely all kinds of people that you can relate to. If you're someone older and you kind of want to watch people that have your disposition, you might gravitate towards people that in your age group that stream too, that are fun to watch. So like there's the nice thing about streaming is that it's not like ABC and CBS and like Fox, and you just have to pick from the 3 main channels for your content. There are we're going to throw another statistic at you, but on average there are right now there are 65,395 live channels streaming on Twitch. So if a gun to your head, you had to find one to watch that you'd like, you would find one. That would be very good odds.
But also, you wouldn't like. I mean,
have you seen the art streams? You don't have to watch video games on Twitch. There's art streams.
But it's so interesting. Like that number of people. It's like one of my recent things that I realized not that long ago. I mean, long enough ago that I hated cable television and satellite TV. Like my dad had satellite TV,
okay.
And so there's so much on. There's like 300 channels. I'm like, this is the worst. You spend all your time looking for something. I mean, yeah, maybe you stumble on something quickly that you like, but otherwise it's just 65,000. I would never find.
I have a counter argument is that traditional television was like click up, click down, click the number code that you know. The internet has search tools. Like, you're just like, I don't want to flip through all 65,000 channels. Just like, is there a woodworking section? Oh, there is. There's a crafting section. And I've seen there's a woodworking stream. Oh, I can watch. Like, you can type stuff in and search for it.
But you know what? There's not for search. There's not like, give me personality of people I find interesting and want to hear.
So that's
where you have to do the digging.
Well, and the way the system works is you dig around, you go on a stream, says that sounds interesting. If they're not for you, you don't follow them. But if you liked them, you follow them. And then you follow 20 people.
5,000.
And when they go live, you might be like, hey, I'm just hanging out on a Sunday and they're going live. Let's see what they're up to. And you might, flip it on. Like it's
fun. It's almost, I mean, it's not, it's a bit the same thing of like the issue with podcasts is a bit of an aside, but I mean, there's so many. I know there's tons more that I would like than I listen to, but I'm just like, I can't sort through them. And often what I like, and probably what people like about streaming, is when they find someone whose personality they jive with, who they feel they have a connection with, or that they like. And that's got to take some time to find that, because there's always the popular people, but oftentimes, like popular podcasts, for example, like I've listened to some of the big ones, and I'm like, yeah, it's not for me, and it can take a long time. So, and I imagine when you say 65,000 live streams, I'd be like, geez, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there's some that I would.
So right now, Woodworking with Mr. Jim is live. He's broadcasting to 7 people, but he's got a camera set up, and he's got his woodworking set up. And
don't switch to him. Everybody, keep watching here. Look at me, I'm dancing. Dun, dun, dun,
the
dun,
best
dun,
part,
dun, dun.
The best part about Woodworking with Mr. Jim is that he's got one camera for him with his headset on. He's showing the woodworking part, and then there was a giant American flag in one corner. It's like, maybe Woodworking with Mr. Jim is not for you. I don't know.
It's
maybe
also funny that you're watching someone live stream while you're live streaming.
Mr. Jim streaming. Oh.
The thing is that, like, this is a complicated one, because the more I think about it, because we talk a lot about Twitch. We're on Twitch. Twitch is a big live streaming site. YouTube has a component for live streaming. We talk about individuals live streaming, but live streaming, is something that is done for sporting events, for like live events, watch as they happen. Like, there's always been like live footage on the news and different things, but now the breadth of live events that you can get online is huge, outside of just the scope of personalities talking to a camera on Twitch and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's totally has empowered a generation, and unfortunately that comes with some major setbacks, major red flags. Like, you hear about these personalities like that may say offensive things, or even good corporate citizens that are trying to monitor these channels, be it a Google or a Amazon or whatever that owns Twitch, because people are saying stuff as it happens. Like, a lot of crazy shit has been live streamed. Like, as you guys are probably aware, the killer in Christchurch who did the mass shooting in New Zealand live streamed the entire thing, and it was, I think it's
horrible.
Like, I think it's been taken down, although it's the
people
internet.
have been charged for circulating it.
Yeah, no, I think so. But it's just like, to me, there's a dark side to everything. As soon as you give people a power without having a filter in front of it, like, there's no filter. Nobody's monitoring the content before it goes out. There's a risk reward proposition.
That was a huge thing, and it's still a problem. It was streaming now is just your viewers swatting you, and swatting is a jargon.
Oh,
for
yes,
streaming
I heard about that.
You watch someone stream, you find out where their address is, what city they live in. You go on the internet, you find the police phone number, and then you pretend like you're an informant calling, saying where the crack cocaine's hidden or some murder's going on, and then basically you call the police on people that are streaming. And like, on the surface, it sounds comical. Like, if you saw it in South Park, you'd laugh. But people have gotten killed because of this. And then you will get charged with murder. If you swat someone, you will get charged with murder. Or criminal, even if there's no murder, you'll get charged criminally for a false report, right? But it in the early days, it was common enough. I don't know if it's common now, but certainly, imagine someone just bursting through my door right now and throwing me on the ground, and it would suck. So like,
and that to me fits right in nicely with the troll internet culture, right? Where it's like, oh, look, someone's doing something, let me fuck with them, because it's half of what the internet is, Look,
Croft is trolling me now. He's pretending to be on the phone calling.
Sorry guys, I didn't realize my mic was muted. I was just making a personal call there. Nothing important. I wasn't aware of the swatting thing. But no, there is a dark side to it, and part of me like it's one of those things where you could do a news report and you could just like list the horrible things that have either been live streamed or that people have done live stream. I know there's women that have live streamed that have been the subject of massive harassment and all sorts of issues, and there's a long list of crazy shit you could make. But I just sort of feel like when I got down on the talk radio and podcasting, I got down on it for saying like the medium, there was all this bad shit on there. I like stupid right wing crazy town stuff, and I kind of got lost. The technology and like what it was doing and the benefits kind of got lost to me in my sort of being upset with that angle. And I'm trying not to let that happen here on this, because I do think that like live streaming technology and the freedom that it provides around the world for people to get information out, to share their lives, to do all this sort of stuff is cool. It's neat. It's just it's could be abused easily. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah,
and it's a danger, especially if you're not someone who's very popular and has a big infrastructure. Even if you're popular, it's people getting stalked, and stuff like that. Like there are dangers to that kind of exposure. As cool as it is, there are risks, and yeah.
And it kind of ties into the fact that the internet has no regulations on it, right? Like, I mean, when you talked about the live events that have always been around on TV, there's all kinds of live broadcasts. It's the difference being broadcasted versus streamed individually or whatever. But with those things, there's like a 5-second buffer, something like that. And I think that part of that came into effect because of things like regulators are like, there's going to be, and you could argue because it was like censorship was part of it. They're going to say a bad word, we need to bleep it or whatever. But also that like sometimes horrible things happen, like people getting killed live on TV. That happens, and sometimes it's like you don't want. There's reasons why you don't want people to do that. And it's not to withhold stuff. It's because you're like, it's a lot of times people do these, like the that Christchurch guy, why he streamed that. It's because it's why a lot of people do these violent things. It's instant. It's this celebrity, right? And the media is finally starting to get wise to this and being like, we don't say this person's name. We just focus on the victims and how to make sure this thing doesn't happen again. Like the celebrity factor needs to be like taken out of the mix for the people who are doing these kind of horrible things.
Yeah, but, I agree, and I was about to be like, well, you can actually put a delay in on my broadcaster software. You can delay up to 10 minutes because
but you'd have to delay it.
I know, but that's the thing. It's most people don't know or they don't do it, so it doesn't.
It'd be funny. The guy that like the Christchurch guy is like, oh, maybe not everyone's gonna appreciate this. I better put a 5-second block on. I mean, like, it's just because clearly someone is gonna do something horrible. Yeah. They want you to see it. They're doing it to shock you and disturb you and to make an impact somewhere.
But I would say, like, ultimately, in spite of those dangers, it is the exception rather than the rule, fortunately.
Well,
but
yeah, one thing I find funny, like this is sort of like an aside, is like that share button I mentioned. Sony, big corporate company, they made this thing and so you could share your gameplay, but also they made it so that like there's the PlayStation camera. You could. Streamers, they like to, they don't just want to be a voice, they want to have their face there. Often the common thing is they're down in the corner, the gameplay takes the full screen, but you see their face and all this. So Sony made that possible. They had the PlayStation camera, but then what did people do with it? Obviously they had sex and filmed it, right? Like, because that's what people do with any camera. And so like they started streaming, like, so you could be going through at the beginning, the early days of the PlayStation 4, you could be going through like the streaming section and be like, game, oh god, couple having sex, and and Sony was like, oh no, we didn't think that people would do this, and then they had to like sort of they add a bunch of curating functionality, and still there's a lot of people that manage to get like nudity and stuff through the things that they use to to block that stuff. But it is funny because it is a huge risk. As soon as these giant corporations get involved and they think, oh, look, we're going to let people live stream. Like Nintendo hasn't even let people voice chat because they're so scared of what'll happen, like so. Let's put a button on here. Nobody will have sex with it. That's for sure.
Well, it's not even if it's intentional. Like it's like I get worried. I always turn my webcam up when I'm not using it because I'm just worried I'll accidentally have left it on or something, and I'll just walk by. Who knows? Just not here, but when I was up in my bedroom, when I had my system up in my bedroom, I might walk by with my dong out, and it might be streaming. And I want to avoid that completely. I just don't want that.
Most views you ever had.
I know. Well, I think I did. No, people it would be like.
I just like because Jessie sometimes leaves the stove on, like when she puts the soup on and she's got it on simmer or whatever. I just see Bo's equivalent is like, oh, did I leave my live stream on? And did I wear pants? Like those two things have to like.
It's really, really important knowing.
Yeah.
Like that,
you got to do one or the other. Either wear pants or turn off your live stream. Don't not
exactly. So yeah, you gotta be careful. I've seen people asleep, like they played so long they fell asleep, and they're just like there on their webcam and they're like sleeping.
Oh, God, that's a depressing
sure.
thought.
and Bo's like, they still had more viewers than me. God damn it!
That's probably.
No, I've had more viewers than that at the time, but it was funny. But it's still funny.
You
like
more viewers than the person sleeping in front of their game console. Like
suck it, Crofton.
Yeah, it's more than Crofton's eyes. That's true. But when I think of live streaming, like I know we were saying, like so when you hear live streaming, like I don't think of a live event on the internet, like a sporting event or whatever.
Yeah. Although those happen too, esports especially, but it can just be hanging out and having coffee and chatting with.
That's what I think of. It's the person who's like they're doing their thing.
You're talking about it on Twitch. It's known as the IRL channel.
In is it
life.
okay?
Yeah, or maybe it's just it used to be IRL. Now it's just chatting. That's what the channel's called. Just chatting.
Yeah, like and you hear stories of people like they're live streaming themselves eating dinner. And people will watch it or whatever, or doing whatever mundane things, and it's being live streamed, and it's like that kind of stuff. It's like seems utterly ridiculous to me, and why anyone would watch it. The only thing that would be like why someone would watch that, and maybe this is something that I would think of for live streaming in general, is the fact that in the internet culture, there's also talk of like we're increasingly isolated and lonely, and we want social connection. And the internet, which promised so much of it, doesn't really deliver. And the live streaming is a way to connect with people because we're all spending more time alone on our devices. And so like live streaming makes you be like, okay, well, I can have a social connection with someone because I don't have it.
Yeah. No,
I think that's a big part of it.
It's like, for sure a big part. I mean, it has to do with our use of internet and computers generally. It's like an evolution. Because even if streaming didn't exist, we are spending a lot more people are spending a lot more time with their computers isolated, as you say. So I mean, yeah, it is nice when you're isolated at your computer to then be not isolated and to be interacting and watching cool stuff.
And I mean, because I can see the appeal of like what I always talk about. Like I don't do that much gaming these days. I have done a lot of video gaming in the past, and a lot of times I want to just be like by myself playing a game. I'm having like me time and it's fun. But a lot of times in these days when I do gaming, like I say with you guys, I'm like, let's play a board game or sit on a couch and play a video game. I enjoy that because there's like we're doing a social thing, right? But I think, but some games are meant to be played. Basically, you got to play it on your friends, or you make friends that way, and it brings back the social element that can be lacking sometimes. Like, if your primary hobby, I get that you'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll put a stream on too, and then you're doing it with your friends, right? You're not like just.
Well, that's a new feature actually, is a squad streaming they've just added. I have yet to explore what exactly it entails, but it's a new feature of Twitch TV. I think it's to stream as a squad.
But live streaming is such a nuance because it's essentially like if we had a Skype call or what we're doing now over Discord, essentially. we're having a group chat, which I think most anybody would say is a good thing. Like, it allows you to have connections and relationships that or might be closer with people that are further away. Like, I can have my, like, I had my baby talking to her grandmother in Mexico, who's in Mexico, and all that, and they have a connection. They have a connection over distance because of the camera and because of all of that stuff. The nuance with live streaming is that instead of that being a private connection, it's like you're changing that video stream to make it public, and so that anybody could potentially view it, and and then obviously the type of content that you would do would be different. The way that you would present yourself would likely be different. All of that sort of stuff. But like, I'm so far good on the private side, like on a Skype call, the Skype, the Discord, the video chats that once seemed like the content of science fiction, that is now like part of my daily life, is such a good thing for me and has helped so much. To then come down hard and say, oh, if it's public and if it's to strangers or to, like, or presenting things or whatever. When Mike did his big rant to the wall and live streamed it, and I watched the whole thing. I totally didn't think I was going
It wasn't
to.
live streamed.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, I don't
It
know how
was
to live stream. I'm
all right.
an old person.
Yeah, so it was like what I said earlier. It was like a footage that was put out, but like it could literally have been a live stream, right? Like the only difference was it wasn't happening as. But that's the type of content that you can imagine. You'd see something like that, and or listen to somebody talking to you or whatever, and be able to send them questions or respond or what. I totally could see the appeal, but it's one of those things where it's just like it's weird to say, it's just not for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I recognize the appeal.
Yeah.
The other this is a slight aside, but I'm going to bring it back around to this. When earlier we were talking about like that we would revisit. One that I would revisit is AI, because AI, I think I was kind of like, meh, it'll be all right.
You were good. You and Bo were arguing me on that one, because I was the one that was like, we're all gonna die, like.
Yeah, and I was arguing it from a perspective, and from a certain point of view, I would stand by a lot of what I said to some extent. But it's more like and while I'm bringing this back to live streaming, it's more like what the current state of AI is and where it's going. And so I've been doing a lot of reading about some of this lately and heard some interesting podcasts on the topic. And it's like, so with live streaming, when you hear like learning algorithms, and this is where AI is going, as you have machine learning and learning algorithms, and how are they learning? And so, for example, like who owns Twitch? Amazon owns Twitch, right?
Yes.
So Amazon's notorious so you can be damn sure that though not everyone is watching these 65,000 live streams, you can be damn sure that Amazon is absolutely recording them all, and that they are using that metadata to learn something. And it's something about how human this is the whole internet is all based about this. How you can use this.
We did that episode on big data.
Yeah, and it's like
you're talking about big data now.
All this stuff, yeah. And the thing is, it's like you can see it in action, because Google is, of course, huge into this. So like Google Docs. Look, I love Google Docs, and recently I'm like, it's kind of annoying, because now, I don't know if you guys have noticed in Gmail recently, but Gmail can start to complete your sentences for you. Now, how did it learn to do that? Do you know how it learned to do that? By surveilling fucking 20 million people writing emails and learning how humans write. And now
I think beyond that, it's because I think it goes on your stuff in particular. Like, I think it's going through the emails that you personally have written, because honestly, when it autofills for me, I'm like, that's very much what I would say. And
yes,
I know
it absolutely does. And Google, for example, if you Google search something and I Google search something, we'll get different results. Like if Bo Google searches something, it's for sure going to be something porn related. It's going to come up right away. And for me, it'll probably be like an Aeon article. But I mean, joke aside, it's like, but that literally is how it works. Everyone has different Google results. It's not uniform. It's based on who you are. They have a record of it. And all this stuff that we're live streaming, it's like, well, and you'd be like, well, how is it of any use for anyone to be recording or watching this metadata? And it's like, it's for use if you're trying to develop smart AIs that understand how human beings operate, to just watch it constantly, to learn, to amass this massive data. And I am a little bit worried about this stuff, increasingly more so as I've learned more about it, to be like, what is the end game of this? And I don't know that it's a positive thing for humanity. And so like we put so much stuff on the internet constantly, and it's like, it's all free, like what are we using? Discord right now, or we're using Discord, that's free. And Twitch, that's free. Like, why is it free? And it's because it's either taking our attention, which is valuable to the companies that own these things, and more so taking our data and doing stuff with it, and then using it to, frankly, manipulate us back. So, like, so the live streaming, it's one of the dark sides of it too, is that we're just feeding the machine all this stuff. And I heard someone frame it in the sense of like, when we worry about AI taking our jobs, keep in mind that everything we do on the internet, it's you training your replacement, like that idea of like, everyone hates that, you're getting kicked out of your job and you have to train your replacement. Well, that's what we're doing with algorithms. And so like, it might seem like minutia, but it's being recorded, it's being used. And if it wasn't, we would be paying for these services, but we're not. So I don't know. I mean, that stuff all has yet to be, who knows how it's going to play out in the next 10, 20 years, but we're feeding the beast, and we don't know if it's going to be a friendly, lovely, cuddly beast or a horrible thing, which is unclear.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely unclear, and it's hard to know. It's hard to know if that's bad or not, and so I mean, I just assume now everything that has a large amount of users, Facebook, streaming. Your point is well taken. It's all doing that. So the only way to keep out of that is to not stop using the internet, or at least stop using the internet in a prophylactic manner where you do not put any personal information or messages in there at all. Keep no email. Use burner devices and go through a VPN potentially and shit like that.
But even then, it's funny because that stuff is like, it still doesn't even really matter. We're in a bit of a side, I guess, but it doesn't matter in the sense that, like, because like I'm basically off social media because I don't like this stuff. Yeah. But I'm like, it doesn't really matter because I'm like, enough people use it.
The mob, it's the mob. You're talking about the mob, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't need, if individuals drop out, who cares? They'll still get enough.
No, I would think that when there's these big pushes like to quit these social media channels, you should quit them. If you don't see value, you don't want them, quit them. But like, don't ever fool yourself into thinking you quitting is going to kill this social media platform. Like that, it's going to come back stronger and more nefarious.
Well, here's an interesting. Just because we're on this topic, I heard this and I thought it was a really good kind of analogy. That the problem with like social media and what they're doing, Facebook in particular seems to be the one I have the biggest hate on for lately about collecting our data. And there's with good reason. I mean, the fake news angle on them has been and what they've done with elections, and it's just I mean. Yeah. Say Facebook will be like, it's not us, we're a platform. It's
a question of accountability. They're just like, it's the platform, we're not accountable, and everyone else is like, yeah, you're publishing platform, you're accountable.
Exactly. And so here's the exact interesting an analogy that I heard that I think is quite apt. So it used to be that mining companies and chemical companies, right, they would extract or produce the shit that they wanted, and then they would just dump it in the river, right? And it was like, fuck up the river. And these were highly, highly profitable companies. And then people came along and said like, hey, look, you're fucking up the environment. You gotta take care of your own you gotta clean up your mine site. You can't dump the chemical waste in the air. And it's like, okay, these companies still exist, but they're far, far less profitable. And someone
it's like the plot of Enemy of the People, kind of.
Well, yeah, but and then also but the same thing is true of social media and all these big tech companies, that they're basically just dumping their stuff. There's no regulation. They're extracting our data. They're doing all this stuff, and there's zero regulation.
They do whatever because you have the front end, but they have the back end. So whatever's your personal data on the back end, you have no idea. They can use it for whatever they want.
Yeah, and they do. And the thing is, and it's the social repercussions of this. So it's like the equivalent of polluting the river. The mining company polluting the river is the same with social media companies fucking with our elections. And to be like, we should be regulating them, and possibly stuff like live streaming as well, regulating it because people aren't thinking about what the repercussions are in the same way that mining companies didn't care about what the repercussions of dumping their waste was. Social media companies don't care what the side effects are of their things.
I agree with you, but if we can't get people on board with global warming, how the fuck are we gonna get people on board with the Facebook stuff? Honestly.
Well, I heard
none of that's gonna matter once the fucking polar ice caps melt and we hit the ice age.
No,
honestly, just have your fucking fun on social media, or we're gonna die in about 30 years, dudes. Let's do this.
I just heard this other thing, which relates to this, which I thought was a good example. Like Twitter, will say like, oh, we can't, for all the hate speech and trolls and shit. Well, we can't do anything about that, or it's free speech, or this or that, and they don't do anything really about it. And I heard this guy making this point and say like, look, in Germany, the laws there state you can't deny the Holocaust, you can't spout Nazi propaganda. That is law, and you can go to jail and be fine. And so if you change your location to Germany on Twitter, all the neo-Nazi shit that you might see, or it'll just disappear from your Twitter. And so they say like, it can be done. It is done. They just do choose not to. Because they would just want the raw data. Like they resist regulation, but it can be done. And there's examples like that. I thought it was a kind of.
That's kind of. So they can't. So if I go to Germany and I start saying, "I'm maching mein Leben," I love Hitler.
Well,
Hitler. Our one German viewer is like, all of a sudden his broadcast is blanked out. We're offline in Germany. Sorry about that.
I just imagine it's that that wacky experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's Achtung. It says Achtung. But I mean, it's cool. I think, yes, accountability is important in this case, but I just feel like also my point of a global warming stand. Someone told me today, it's a really off topic, but they're like, yeah, we've gone past the point of no return on the global warming thing. It was some sort of official thing.
Sadly, kind of old news, man.
Is it old news? And it's like, oh, I haven't been paying attention to that. I'm just like, oh,
I read, Naomi Klein is. I read her book like 4 years ago, and it made me. It was already old news then, and it was like when you read her book, you're like, we're fucked. And that was like 2000 and
what's the topic again?
The topic is live streaming, and honestly, all this is covered under live streaming because anything goes. So it's kind of cool. But I mean, we can move back to the main topic.
And it was sort of around, like, should it be regulated or is it just freedom?
And like I say, the ice age is coming, folks. So enjoy your. Enjoy surfing the internet highway and giving all your data to people to eventually have it be frozen for future civilizations, I guess.
I mean, but I guess I didn't weigh in with my. This is going to be clearly obvious. My personal view, which is, of course, like I can't imagine live streaming. I'm more so than Crofton because when we talked about sports, like I don't even like watching sports that I like to do. I don't even want to watch them. I'm just like, who cares? I'd rather go do the thing, or just not.
But you're not a big sit downer and watcher of lots of things.
I'm not a viewer of events. Like that does nothing for me.
When I quantified it at the beginning, it said there's doers and watchers and stuff like that. Like you are definitely more of a doer on a lot of things. Like you'd be like, well, let's go do, let's do something, right? Let's, the idea of just sitting and watching. And if you're going to sit and watch something, you're going to want it generally to be like either a scripted show or something of value in that regard.
Yeah, not someone like brushing their teeth or something, like or when I go to of like the most mundane thing that someone's live streaming.
No, so because we're live streaming, Twitch has a feature where you can clip highlights of awesome plays from your favorite streamers of like 30 seconds. I think Wicked Kitten, who's one of our viewers, are one of our most dedicated viewers and mod extraordinaire of many people's channels, is going to clip me going Heil Hitler. So it's just me going Heil Hitler, and I'm like, uh-oh.
You can go
You'll
like
never be famous in Germany now, Bo.
you could go through ours, and particularly Bo, like I still remember it wasn't long ago there was an episode where he goes on this big thing to make a point while talking about murdering cats.
Yeah,
and and I was like, wow, out of context, that's not gonna
I'm
hold
pretty
up.
sure it's good that we're not a popular show, because if we did have a super fan that would go back and listen for every compromising, embarrassing TMI, definitely shouldn't have said it, definitely out of context, it's really bad, and just put it together in a mashup and send it to like the Canadian swat me with send it to our Canadian intelligence agency, is like, we believe this man is a highly dangerous serial killer.
Oh yeah, hey, we'll check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, we better go pay him a visit, eh?
Yeah, I think it would be really funny if like I just decide to run for politics and all this, and I'm like running for the leadership of a Canadian political party, and they find out about this podcast, and they're like, oh, there's got to be good material here, we'll go through it and all this sort of stuff, and they're like, well, we've gone through 230 episodes, and yeah, he says some ridiculous stuff, but there's nothing that's really going to get him in trouble. One of the guys he does the show with, though, is borderline insane. Maybe we just press him on that or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah, so I'm definitely not getting hired in Crofton's caucus.
Yeah, I'm getting questions. Yeah, Mr. Steers, is it true or not true that you did a podcast with a gentleman that said the following?
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler, I murder cats, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fleshlight, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, God, so much for that prime ministership. Thanks for nothing, Bo.
Hey, but you got to be on a podcast, so really, you're welcome.
It's true. Let's roll up those verdicts.
Yeah.
Well, just Well, yeah. Okay, let's just do.
You can just you can probably say it in your verdict. So I'm gonna bring in the judges here at the verdict time. Oh, here they come.
Yes.
Live streaming, everybody's live streaming.
Bring those animals in.
Order in the court. Who wants to go first? I should go early because I'm host, so I'll go first. Easy peasy, live streaming. It's good.
Surprise!
Shocker! It's good. I'm not going to say anything more. I live stream at least with part of the shows we do at least 3 times a week. I've run my own streams and had a really good time doing it. I like watching streams. I definitely am into this phenomenon.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
So live streaming. I'm going to say live streaming is bullshit.
Ugh, yeah, okay. Why?
And the reason I say that is tricky, because I said to myself going in that I wasn't going to treat this exactly like the podcasting and the talk radio, but that's essentially what I'm doing in many ways, coupled with the fact that I am not an avid live streamer or an avid watcher of live streams. I do it as a value add as part of our podcast to engage with the community, and I appreciate that. So I'm not saying that bullshit is bad. Like I don't think live streaming is bad. In fact, I think it can be absolutely great. It's just that for me, live streaming is one of those things where I have zero personal interest in it. And I've seen it used for some horrendous things, but I know that by and large, it's a pretty decent thing. So you put all of that stuff together, and some of the concerns Mike raised with regards to data, I mean, that's always there, and I think it's valid and stuff. But you put it all together. If I loved it like Bo loved it, I would easily fall on the good side. If I was apathetic to it to the nth degree, I may fall on the bad side. But for me, where it's at, I don't necessarily understand all the appeal, but it definitely means a lot to some people, so I can appreciate that. But overall, I'm going to say that it's bullshit.
I agree. I like that.
Okay, well, you won't like this. Because I think we all know what I'm going to say. Well, I'll just get it out of the way. I think live streaming is bad. I think it's bad. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh, say it ain't so, Michael.
Well, listen. Okay, look. So, my personal feelings are: why would I ever want to watch someone doing something that I could do? One time, I tried to watch Bo live stream something because I'm his friend in real life, and I wanted to support him. So I was watching live stream, and I was like, "Man, this is really boring, and I don't understand what's happening." And I'm like, "Well, I'm glad he's having fun." And then I turned off the stream because I didn't care. I didn't care. I'm like, you know what? But I hope he's having fun doing whatever he's doing anytime. Like, I don't need to watch him do it. I don't know why anyone would spend their precious time watching someone else do something that they like when they could do something they like. They like themselves. And the only reason that I can see for that is that we suffer from loneliness in the internet age. We crave social contact, and the internet has done far more to divide us than it has to actually bring us together. And we like to pretend it hasn't because we have Facebook and all this other shit, but it's not real human social connection. And we're trying to get this through live streaming, but really we need to find people to be friends with and spend time physically with them and look at their weird facial expressions and have human connection, because that's what we want. And live streaming is a poor facsimile of that, in my view. And, I understand that people like it, and I still think that what they really want is just a social connection. And it can be hard to find your group, it's not always right where you live. Like, I get that. But all in all, I don't think that this is a positive thing. And I think it exists because as human beings that we're not getting enough of on the internet. And that's why it's there. But really, the real thing is better. So, yeah, it's a bit of I feel a bit sad saying that verdict because I don't want to make anyone who live streams anything feel bad about themselves. That's not my intent. It's more the structure that has led to it that I'm not a fan of. And also, in terms of my own consumption of stuff, I'm an on-demand person, because I was like, hey, I'm a big hypocrite, right? Because we're live streaming this shit right now, and you'd be like, you hypocrite.
Well, we're only for the record, it's under protest from you. Like, you're like, yeah, sure, go ahead and live stream. I don't give a shit. It's worth.
Yeah, like,
you're like, whatever. But I'm like, okay, well, it's good to have different perspectives on our show. It's part of what makes us.
Yeah, it is.
So
I'm completely. It's like I agree. I was like, well, it's a podcast. You listen to it whenever you want. And when I listen to podcasts, it's when I feel like it, not when it's live. But Bo wanted to do it, and I acquiesced, and I'm like, I'm fine with it totally. And I think it's cool that people do listen. But I also would say to them, like, really? You don't have anything else better to do? I was like, you could be listening to this at any time, doing whatever you're doing, driving your car, commuting, multitasking. It'd be the same thing, You don't have to do it live. That's kind of my point. And I'm just like, yeah, the content is still good. You can get that kind of like whenever. Do it on your own terms, right? Don't do it on our timelines. So yeah,
all right.
Maybe not popular.
Yeah, I think
like and subscribe, everybody.
By the way, I'm just gonna give Crofton some tips to be a better streamer. For some reason, there's a whole bunch of general lighting which makes you look really like white and in hard relief. And also, your head is like in the bottom quadrant of the camera, and like you should be more centered and in the middle. So there you go. That's much better.
Framing.
You're like at certain points in the show, it's just like the tip of your nose and the top of your head as you lean. Hang on, you lean down like you're like down here.
Yeah, you look like an old lady driving her car. That's
exactly. You're just like, and I'm like, dude, get yourself in your quadrants.
Also, that the background is his basement wall with his tiny little prison cell window in the background that takes up most of the real estate.
It does look like you're squatting in an unfinished house.
I just moved in a year ago. We talked about this.
I know. I'm not one to criticize. That's been my look for the past 6 months.
Hey, did you ever move that? Remember that soiled mattress that lived in your old basement, which was the background sometimes when you podcast? Did you move that into your new basement?
I don't know. I have a new soiled mattress.
You really made it, Crofton? Brand new.
Oh, Monica, I need to ask you. Please clip that one because that was hilarious. All right, guys. If you want to write in and ask us about Crofton's new soiled mattress and its specifications, please do so at goodbadbull@gmail.com. That's where you can email us. Please send in your letters. We've had a good run of emails, but none this week. So send us something. Send us anything. Tell us we're handsome, we're ugly. No, don't send us negative stuff. Try and keep it positive. So just you like the sound of the tick-tick-ticks at the beginning of shows and stuff. I don't know, something. Anyway, send it in. Find out more about the show at goodbadbull.com. There's links to follow us on social media there. All our episodes are there in the vault, and you can find ways to subscribe to us, like on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. I think we're still getting uploaded there, and Google Play. And you can find our YouTube channel where you can join the 4 or 5 viewers who watch our live video archive of live streams up on YouTube. So I think that covers all the bases. Oh, shout out to our patrons. We had a goal on there actually to hit $25 because, we just wanted a little bit of humble money to help pay for the server costs. And we reached our goal actually, hilariously enough. So thank you so much to
What do we have to do now?
Well, the goal at 25 was to come up with actual goals. Because I was like, let's just see if people are willing to give us $25 a month for the thing that we make, and shockingly enough, you have. So,
hey, maybe I should do a live stream if we get enough money.
Well, we can talk about what we'd like to do, how we'd like to expand this, and where we
look at this, guys. Look, I'm down in the corner. This is where I would be.
Yeah, perfect, right there. That's perfect.
And so we can see more of your soiled mattress, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, patrons.
Yeah, so thank you very much, regardless, patrons, for helping us reach this milestone. It actually means a lot to us. It's just super cool that you guys are out there. And a lot of the people who are patrons I've met at various events and stuff like that. So you're all super awesome people. And thank you so much. And even Podcast Hall of Famer Scott Johnson is a patron of ours. So, we're doing something right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you so much, Scott, and everything. And you know what? And our long-standing Bo's mom, still a patron after all this time. She could give me money, but she'd rather Patreon get a cut of that money in order to show that number is higher, and I love her for it, and we all love her for it. So, Crofton, if our listeners... Wait, we usually start with Mike because he's going to have something funny to say. Mike, if our listeners want to find out more about where you're at, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me in my neighborhood because that's where I live and not on the internet. Trying to make those real human connections. Yeah. I'm lending a neighbor of mine scaffolding.
Yeah, and you can actually he has an Airbnb you can rent out. I mean, don't search his name, but
that should be one of our goals. If we hit a certain milestone, I'll be like free Airbnb rental to someone who wants to fly themselves to Ottawa. They can stay in my house.
Yeah, be careful.
I'll come down into the basement and rant at them about something that makes them uncomfortable.
You'll hear us upstairs playing Pandemic with slightly racist affectations on our voice.
Are you enjoying this real human connection, buddy? Are you? Mr. Hodgins, can you please leave?
It's like, well, we made it to $30, did we? Welcome to my Airbnb. I like how
I posted, by the way, as a congratulatory effort, Crofton, I posted that picture of you in actual work clothes on Patreon. I don't know if you saw that on our Patreon page. I just thought you should. I just thought you should know.
Patreon page. I should go.
Go scroll down, check the post. I gave you the link in Slack.
Yeah,
all right, Crofton. If our listeners want to find out more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me live streaming the decomposition of my new mattress at Crofted Steers on Twitter.
Perfect.
It's pretty awesome. It's like a time lapse, except there's no lapse.
Just decomposed.
Okay, and you can find me on the internet at Bo Schwartz on Twitter. Best place to find me. You'll find links to my Twitch channel and to all the other shit I do there. Okay, so now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, it's time for our wonderful segue into an outgoing conversation until we get so frustrated that someone yells, "End the show." That's
interesting.
Wait, I never heard it broke down like
that. I know. My mental capacity right now is not very high, so I'm like, okay, time for talk. Let's do this.
Well, maybe it's a good time to brainstorm goals for.
Well,
on
there he's
Patreon.
gone.
Okay, Mike get a new webcam. Mike gets a new PC.
Goal number 1: Mike will be available in widescreen.
Oh yeah, right.
It's true. He is like, he's a full square. It's not even portrait mode. Like he's just.
I got this computer in 2010. I think it's holding out pretty well.
Yeah, my computer's older than yours, and I'm pretty sure it functions better.
No, it's one of those things where it's like
I bought it the year my grandmother died. That's how I know it's older than yours. It's in 2008.
Yeah, but when did you put a new video card in it?
Oh, like a week ago.
All right, so F off. It's not an old computer.
It's true. Did I tell you, Crofton? I got a 1050 Ti. It's the budget card on the 1050 line, but it's
Nice.
Oh, I got an XT350. How about that?
Mike.
it sounds like a good card. And how did you get into your laptop, especially an Apple one? Does it open?
No, I just put it on the top. Kind of like.
My computer's the newest, just like my ideas. Oh.
Your ideas? Yeah, I know.
Newest.
It works better for Mike, but
new ideas doesn't mean they're good ideas.
Yeah, it's like it just means you most recently came up with an idea, but like I'll come up with one in 2 seconds and I'll be the most recent.
Oh god damn it! End the show! End the show! End the show!
All right, hang on, just 1 second. Quiet. I'm just gonna. Okay, thanks. Perfect.
Wow.
It marks the audio with a large spike, so I can tell quickly where to find it. So.
Yeah, I like how it becomes a competition of who can frustrate the others so much that somebody yells at the show. It's just like, oh, goddamn you bastards!
All right, hang on. Monica made a clip of the soiled thing.
Oh, I want to see it. Let me click.
What happened to the other clip?
Remember that soiled mattress that lived in your old basement?
It got blocked by
was
sensors.
The background sometimes when you podcast. Did
Yeah.
you move that
Like
into your new basement?
No, they're not
I have a
there.
new
Try
soiled
watching them.
They don't work.
Yeah, they got blocked because
Well, no,
Bo was racist.
This one works. Check Slack. I'll put it in Slack for you, buddy.
Here, wait 1 sec.
It's prickly, unsightly pigeon vote. Yeah, is the URL. Is everyone being quiet now, or is it just me?
I'm trying to watch this thing. Crofton in his soiled mattress.
Sorry.
Oh, the Heil Hitler one works now.
Oh, I quite enjoy watching you guys break down on that.
Did you move that into your new basement?
Good stuff. No, I have a new soiled mattress.
It's super funny. I'm posting that on the internet.
Thanks, Monica.
That was enjoyable. Watch.
The benefits of live streaming.
Is that real though? You do have a new soiled mattress?
No, I do. So it's not soiled. It's not soiled.
It's definitely soiled. I don't need you. That's not what I was asking.
I can't. The stupid cord's too short on this fucking thing. But there's a mattress on the ground. Here, wait. Let me put it on Discord. I'm gonna lift up the mattress. Where? Here.
Why don't you just aim the camera down?
Because this thing isn't long enough. See, look, mattress, huh?
Yeah, I see it.
Huh?
We're streaming. You're gonna get a channel ban, Monica.
So much for being prime minister.
Can you clip that? Can you clip that one too, Monica? Jesus Christ!
There should be a GIF of him humping the soiled mattress.
Oh my God!
It was humping next to the soiled mattress.
He's just like, Jesse, you're gonna go down to the basement.
So the Heil Hitler one's working too. If you want to watch it, I'll link it. Hang on.
Heil Hitler? What? Could you please stop saying Heil Hitler casually?
As a totally random aside, I watched for some reason last night. I watched the Father Ted episode where everyone thought he was a
It's not as funny as Crofton humping. Yeah.
The Father Ted where everyone thinks he's racist.
Yeah, he's in the
And
window for the piece of tape.
Yeah, the square piece of dirt. He's just like, shit. It's so contrived but funny. And then at the end, he brings everyone back to his house, and there's all that Nazi propaganda all over. So he's like, well, yeah,
So I hear you're a racist now, Father.
a racist father. The farm takes up most of me time. I can't devote myself full time to the old racism.
I can't devote myself full time to the old racism. I'm not racist. Who are we racist against, Father? What's the woman?
It's the Greeks, and he's like, no, it's the Chinese he's after, and he's like, I'm not a racist.
She's like, I fucking hate the Greeks. The woman's like super mad about Greeks. Show is classic. It's classic. Father Ted, one of the greats. Or as people say in the internet parlance now, one of the goats. Because goat is an acronym for greatest of all time. So they just say, you're the goat, Mike.
Oh, shit.
You're the goat.
No, don't click on that link. I sent a wrong copy and paste.
Oh, what porn did you send?
No, I sent a Saturday Night Live link here. I must have sent it to you guys before.
Oh, you whack off at interesting things.
What? Here, look, I'm sending you this. This is a link, Mike, to another Paw Patrol spoof news story. Investigated for sexist hiring practices. The last line I find hilarious, which is the controversy is the biggest to hit a popular children's television program since the Thomas the Tank Engine blackface controversy, which Thomas still claims to be a terrible misunderstanding after he crashed into a big pile of coal. I find that so awesome.
Oh, here's a link of Crofton humping. Thank you, Monica, for clipping that. Really appreciate it.
God damn it, Monica.
Now shall live on in perpetuity.
Let me see. It might be actually good.
Yeah, I see it.
It's got me after all.
We're streaming. You're gonna get a channel.
Where is it?
It's in Twitch. In Slack. I can't move the cameras in Discord right now.
Crofton makes this match. Oops, something went wrong. Perfect.
I'll post it on social media and you'll see it later.
No, don't post it on social media. Don't.
I won't post that one. Yeah.
I got work people on there, bastard. All right. Well, gents and live people on the live stream.
So where should I post it?
Nowhere. What is wrong with you? You got the mattress line. What else do you want, you fucking bastard?
I'm just kidding. I won't post it. I hope I don't accidentally post it, but I think it'll be fine. All right, chat room.
I don't accidentally. How would you accidentally post it?
All right, I won't accidentally post it if I'm going to rename the file Crofton Mattress.
Oh god.
I won't post it because I'll know which one it is because I titled it properly. But when I die, and people look at it, they'll be like, "Oh, there's porn on this computer of his friend Crofton," and they'll click it and be like, "Oh, it's not that bad." We thought it was going to be actual sex.
Well, gents.
All right, thank you so much, Monica, for hanging out. It's good to see you again.
Yes, Monica, thank you.
Thank you for your nice tweet earlier today, and I hope you're having a good time. We'll see you on Saturday. To everyone else who's hanging out, thank you so much. I did a hi. I didn't mean it's a salute. I salute you.
Yeah,
I keep it down here. Salute you. Thank you for hanging out. We're gonna be outie now, so thanks again. Another great episode in the can. And none of us are more happy to be live streaming here than Michael. So on behalf of Crofton, and especially on behalf of Michael and myself,
we hate Mike so much.
Thank you for hanging around.
Something else.